Good evening and welcome to Caffe Lena. Thanks for watching this live stream production from Saratoga Springs, New York. These live streams are made possible by the generous support of the Sarah B. Folk Charitable Fund and by our community of subscribers. Special thanks to our Virtuoso level subscribers and lifetime Caffe Lena members. By buying a ticket for this performance, you're supporting independent music and the mission of our historic nonprofit venue. Enjoy your front row seats for this show, live from Caffe Lena.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Caffe Lena. What a joy to see you all here for this incredibly special night. This is the third time that we've presented TrueSongs, and each year has been a whole new, fresh set of stories and songs. So what we're doing is we're showing you a side of Saratoga that you may not really be aware of. Some stories that are going on all around you, right in your community, that are stories about very strong people going through very challenging times. And we want to reveal that to you so that you can appreciate that even though we hear a lot about division in this country and things not going well, that I think that what people really are loving and joyful, and we want to help each other and to be unified. And that's what you're going to see in this room tonight. So, yeah. So we have 5 nonprofits that are, their work is being spotlighted tonight, and we're starting with Shelters of Saratoga. So I'm going to turn the mic over, and you're going to hear a little bit about the mission of Shelters of Saratoga. So thank you.
Hi there. My name is Carla, and I'm a case manager at Shelters of Saratoga. We have a 23-bed emergency shelter here in Saratoga, and additionally, we have a Code Blue shelter that recently opened for the year. Our Code Blue shelter has 61 cots, and then we have accommodations for any overflow if we have more cots that are needed. Shelters of Saratoga provides services for clothing, housing, food. Okay. And we also have case management services that we provide, which will assist people with a variety of different things. Our future is looking great. We have a lot of new and exciting things that are happening at the shelter, so hopefully in the near future we'll be able to provide more services. So.
All right. So thank you to Shelters of Saratoga. So Paul Bosford is going to share his story, and John Dillon is has been inspired by that story to create a new song for you. So take it away, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
All right, my name is Paul. I was born in Lake Luzerne, New York. Actually, I was born today, 1965. Thank you. I was number 7 of 9 to be exact. I got 6 brothers, 1 sister. My oldest brother was born deceased. I can go back to remember from 4 years old. So I was a a little kid with about 200 warts on my body at that time. I remember sitting in back of a willow tree, popping warts off my hands with a nail. So that was, back then it was like pretty bad, getting called names and all that good stuff. I felt like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. My dad, we didn't have a great relationship even at 4 years old. My grandmother, my dad's mom, didn't like me much either. So it was a rough time. So growing up like that, at 9 years old, my dad, even then, he was a mean drunk, nice guy, sober. So on my birthday, instead of making a birthday wish, I looked at my mom and I made a birthday promise. The promise was that I'd never drink, smoke, do drugs, anything like that. So today is a 48-year promise that I never broke, and I never will. So as of all that, I grew up at the age of 12 through 16. I was molested by my cousin. I never told my mom until about 2 years before she passed. At the age of 21, whoever said lightning never strikes twice in the same spot, that's a lie. My mom's house was struck 20 minutes in the same spot twice. We watched the storm roll down the Saratoga River. We watched it roll down into the Hudson. 20 minutes later, it came back and struck my mom's house again, same spot. So at that point, I joined the local volunteer fire department because they were short of manpower. 21 years old, I weighed about 110 pounds. It was fun. I loved it. I did it for 13 years. I was an EMT. I did that for 22. We delivered a baby in 1993 or 92. That day, it couldn't get any better. You delivered a baby. Well, I found out I was going to be a father for the first time. So that was even better. I got married. My first child was July 21st of 93. Then at 1997, I had twins. Couldn't get any better there either. My dad, I got divorced and marriage was okay for 7 years. It didn't last. December 21st, I was divorced in 1999. A week later, my dad passed away. But in November, I gave my dad his first ride, or last ride to the hospital. I was the driver of the ambulance. We dropped him off, or sounds pretty bad, I dropped him off, I'm sorry. When we were wheeling my dad into the Saratoga hospital, the first time he's ever said, "I'm proud of you and I love you." That's the very first time in his life, and I was an EMT. So he did say that. That was the last time he spoke to any of us. December 28th of 1999, my dad passed away. Like I said, I got divorced on the 21st, so a week later, you couldn't ask for anybody's life changing quick. At that time, my ex-wife and myself got back together. A couple of years later, when I was dumb, we did it again. Got remarried.
Lightning strikes twice.
3 times. So we lasted another 10 years, 12 years. My mom passed away January 29th, 2012. Well, the marriage didn't last then, because that day I found her in bed with another guy. Same day as my mom. So that didn't last. Marriage over. Got divorced July 19th, 2012. My son's birthday, July 21st. He was born on 93, July 21st, 93. My twins were born July 30th, 97. They were born on my parents' 42nd year anniversary. So that was cool. Growing up in the 20s was my favorite time of the year. So I got married again. Stupid me. Number 3. That lasted about 1 year. I got mad. My wife at the time could not handle somebody getting mad. She thought we were supposed to be perfect, smile every day. Well, I got a letter from the courts that said I owed my ex-wife, number 1 and 2, $13,000, and I punched my windshield, put my hand through it. I'm bipolar. I lost control, and I lost that my wife. I still love her, and I love her parents. I love her sister. They were great people. So I figured they were my life, you know. So that didn't last. I moved to Schenectady, closer to my job. Loved my job. February, I got assaulted up to 2021. The guy beat the hell out of me. So I lost my job on that one. Haven't been able to work. I got neuropathy in both feet. It's going up my shins. I can't feel them. So I lost my job, lost my apartment. Come up here, I lived with my daughter in Glens Falls. Guess who's on the lease? My ex-wife, 1 and 2. She tells me I got to get out. So I decided to say, no, you can't force me. Well, bipolar, been doing great, no temper. She pushes me, swears, pushes. I tell her to stop, please, in front of our grandchildren. She pushes me again. I lose control of my temper. I didn't hit her. I didn't push her. I just yelled at her. She calls the cops. I get an order of protection. I sleep under a dock for 4 nights. I go to social services. They put me in a crappy-ass hotel. And then they call up and say, you got to go to a shelter. I have no clue what a shelter is, except in my mind I hear, you know, there's cots all over the place, and I got people I don't know. I don't like people I don't know, because I'm afraid that somebody's going to get in my face and I'm going to lose it. Well, I meet Carla, and these guys are awesome, and they work with you, and they're, it's great. So, that's it.
Kinfolk, chaos, lake Luzerne. Sticks and stones, bridges burn. Climb the tree out in the yard, my escape from living hard. I promised my mom I would do things right, try to live a decent life. Never drank, never smoked, never took a friendly toke. Mean drunks and fools, trouble in school, blindside challenges, ridicule, fell through the cracks, ran through the blaze, but I'll rise from the ashes to better days. By day I worked my cooking skills, wasn't much but it paid the bills. At night a firehouse volunteer, an EMT with all the gear. I drove my dad on his final ride, no longer need a place to hide. Ask behind me, start anew, look ahead, enjoy the view. Mean drunks and fools, trouble in school, blindside challenges, ridicule, fell through the cracks, ran through the blaze, gonna rise from the ashes to better days. The folks at the shelter gave me hope. to face my challenges, learn to cope. Grateful for the helping hand on my own 2 feet. Now I'll stand. Mean drunks and fools, trouble in school. When I was young, I didn't have the tools, but that's in the past. I put out the blaze, now I rise from the ashes to better days. I rise from the ashes to better days. Thank you.
So thanks to Paul and John, and I also want to thank Vivian Nesbitt, who, so each of these pairs of people that you'll see on stage, there's like a little team of volunteers behind each one. And one of those people is somebody who's an actor or a storyteller, but who's good at telling stories. And so Vivian Nesbitt was kind of the coach, because when you think about it, you think about your whole, how do you, somebody gives you 5 minutes, tell me your life story, or tell me about the most challenging thing you've ever been through. In 5 minutes, you know, it's very, very hard to get a grip on that. So great job. And, you know, it's not like he spends his life performing on stage, so good job. All right, so. All right, so next we have, we're featuring Saratoga Senior Center. Is anybody here involved with Saratoga Senior Center? All right. It's a wonderful organization, great. Thank you for being here. So I'm gonna pass the mic over, and now we'll hear a little bit about what Saratoga Senior Center does.
Hi, everyone. I'm Colleen Kelly. I'm the Director of Programs at the Saratoga Senior Center. The Senior Center has been a part of the community for over 65 years. Our mission has been to help seniors achieve and maintain independence and socialization as we age, and to have fun also, you know, meet new people, life changes. So we have a couple different parts at the Senior Center. I'm involved in programs. I do classes, we do art, we have dinners, music, all the time with Jeff. So we do a lot with socialization, peer groups, and then we have senior support services, which Lawrence was very involved in, and we have advocacy, referrals. We give seniors rides. We deliver bags of food to over 100 shut-in seniors every week from the Capital Region Food Bank. And then within our support services, we have a senior life transition program, which works with seniors who are critically ill and to help them with their life transition. So we have a lot of fun new and exciting things coming up. We are moving to a new building on the property of the Saratoga YMCA on West Avenue, and we hope to expand. We expect to expand. We hope to have a lot more seniors. We have double the space. Right now we have about 140 people a day come through the center to use the facility. So we think that's going to grow. So please join us at some time. It's 50 and up, so I think a lot of us are eligible. So come on down.
All right. Thank you. So Lawrence is going to tell his story, and Jeff is going to perform a song for him.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Lawrence. Some of you know me, some of you don't. For the next 10 minutes, I would like for all of you to pretend that you're 65 and above. I do much better with that crowd.
Jokester.
Nervous. Margaret French was my story coach, and I wrote this great piece that I thought was great. It was from academia, and it connected all the dots, and it was perfect. And Margaret said, "Throw that away, we're storytelling." She said, you're going to be talking to an intelligent audience. That's you guys. They want to make inferences. You tell a story, they make inferences. So I'll tell a story. I grew up between here in Saratoga and Brooklyn. After school, I left, after school here, I left and went to college. After college, I came back for a short time and then ran to the city where I could be myself. I met my partner, and we moved to Miami, where it's always sunny. Unfortunately, after 10 years, it wasn't always sunny. I got a phone call at work, and he was in the hospital because of a bad egg sandwich. It wasn't really a bad egg sandwich, it was AIDS. And the virus killed him 3 months later, and then became my new life partner. I became a Charles Bukowski character, and a little self-destructive. I was very lonely. I worked just enough to get to the next drink, and a lot of that, but was able to hold my life together. I came back to Saratoga to seek shelter, and then did that for another 10 years. And one day I got up, and my mother had always, made us be selfless and put others before ourselves. And I said, I should give back to this community that's helped. Give me shelter. And I tried to find volunteer work everywhere, and I couldn't. I was at a dinner party, and a good friend said, why don't you take over for me doing the reminiscing group at the senior center? Reminiscing, that's storytelling. So I did, and it was incredible. I was able to relate to them. I knew their stories. They might have taken place in a different time, but I knew all of the stories. I knew all of these people. The stories don't change, just the time does. They just wanted to be heard. They didn't want to be forgotten. They didn't want to be alone. They just wanted to tell their story. Lois Celeste, who's the director of the senior center, said, you have some connection, crazy connection with these seniors. Come and work for me. And I said, no. I have a job. I have a job. So she convinced me to work at the desk, where I met more seniors who told me more stories. And I listened. And Lois came to me and she said, come and work for me, come and work for me. No, I said, I have a job. Eventually, I wore down, and I worked for Lois for 25 hours a week. But that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough for Lois. That wasn't enough for me. I started doing it 40 hours a week, and then secretly 60 hours a week. I got as much out of it as it got out of me. I didn't know anything that I was meant to do. Lois threw me down into something called volunteer coordination and senior support services. I had no experience in either of them. But when you're thrown into the middle of the ocean, you need a lifesaver. I started doing what I've always done, and I started networking. I know everybody. Soccer moms became my drivers and started bringing senior women to their dentist appointments and even their haircuts. I know in my heart of hearts that in order to have a healthy community, every part of the community has to be healthy, and we all have to work together to get to that. Some people don't agree with me, but every part of the community is integral to that community. It's an ecosystem. I reached out to the other nonprofits when I didn't know what to do. In a collaboration that we did with the Elks, we learned about the fact that we could use the food pantry with our nonprofit ticket number. I forget what it's called, 501c3, blah, blah, blah. So we started using the food pantry in Albany, and now, as Colleen said, we deliver over 100 bags of produce and food to seniors a week. We also in-house do another 100, and during the pandemic we were doing 250. That came from our collaboration with the Elks. The Giving Circle collaborated with me to do leaf cleanups and yard cleanups In the spring, they got to be so adept at this, they would actually plant flowers for the seniors who would call me and say, I gave them apple cider and donuts. The high schoolers are incredible once you get them and you talk to them on their level. They only text, you know. They did computer assistance. They went out and took out air conditioners, put in air conditioners, did yard work, whatever I needed from the high schoolers they would do. The Navy, if you ever have to set up an event and you want efficiency, call the Navy. Pitney Meadows, I was told, why are you getting involved with Pitney Meadows when they first opened? I said, the seniors want a garden. We had a little plot. Out of my own pocket, I paid for seeds and things, and no one understood why I was doing it. Pitney Meadows now supplies us with food every summer, or every growing season, let's put it that way, whatever that may be with global warming, with fresh produce for the seniors. Also, through connections there, we've made other connections that support another big program we have, the, I'm going to forget the name. Can somebody help me with this? Phil DeSorbo? Senior Life Transitions Program. That's how nervous I am. So, a big sponsor of that. The Salvation Army, I would give them, I don't know if I'm allowed to say their name, but a big sponsor gives us pallets of granola bars. There's only so much fiber seniors can have.
You're doing great.
I gave 10 cases to the Salvation Army. Why? That's not part of the senior center mission. You know, I have a good friend, Owen Look. Owen Look, when the pandemic came, the Salvation Army called us and said, Lawrence, I have toilet paper and sanitizers for all of your seniors. Franklin Community Center, the list goes on and on. For the United Way, I called them and I got them to help me get on their volunteer portal and get Christmas gifts for seniors who had nothing. And we brought that list up very big. And then the United Way did something special. They met with us and they started paying for the gas in our vans. Skidmore, I can't even say enough. All of you should praise Skidmore for all the help that they're doing in the community. When I was a little kid, they were called Skidiots, and we were called Townies, and now I have to tell you, Skidmore holds this nonprofit community together with all of the work that they do. God bless them. Anyway, what I'm saying is we need the collaboration between these, even if you don't believe that these things have anything in common. Gateway, you know, guess what? My people go to Gateway at some point. I visited them there. Shelters of Saratoga, your people come and spend the days with us sometimes when they have nowhere else to go. We all have to work together to make this a healthy community. I have so much more. Collaborations with just good people. I called the DPW. I got a phone call from a woman in Greenfield. It's a big snowstorm. She couldn't get her husband to dialysis. I called DPW in Greenfield. They went out, they plowed her out, and then took her husband to dialysis. During the pandemic, 1,500 seniors got my phone because I had to work from home for a month. I can tell you that part about being lonely and feeling broken, and I'm never lonely. One night at 4 a.m., I got a phone call, and a senior said to me, Lawrence, and I said, Mary. She said, I think they turned my power off. I said, Mary, did you pay the bill? Yes, Lawrence, I pay my bills. Why do you think they turned the power off? It's dark. Mary, it's 4 a.m. Thank you. During that same snowstorm that we helped with dialysis, we were waist deep. Lois Celeste, I'd say waist deep. Lois Celeste was under snow. The phone rang and I answered it, Linda, and she said, Lawrence, you've got to help me. I said, what's wrong, Linda? She said, I'm homebound. The snow. I said, I know. We're up to our waist in it now. I said, "What's the problem, Linda? I know you have food. The Office for the Aging has given you 14 meals. You have 2 weeks' worth of food. Are you out of medicine?" Linda said, "No, I'm just stuck at home." I said, "Linda, I think it's good that you stay home. I've got a light bulb out. And Lawrence, how does one make it through the day without a bagel?" I brought Linda a bagel and changed her light bulb. I miss it terribly. It filled a big hole in my life. But that's not the end of my story. Or there's another story. And I'll finish on that note and then give you to Jeff Brisbin, who was going to make me cry again. Phil DeSorbo was in the audience. Phil DeSorbo was integral in helping establish hospice here in Saratoga. I don't know if you know who he is, but he deserves a big hand. This is the last story I'm telling. Phil came home from Africa, and he handed me a starfish and said, "This is for you." And I said, "Well, thank you. Where do you find a starfish in Africa?" I said, "What is this for?" He said, "It's your story." And I said, "My story?" And then Phil proceeded to tell me this story, which I'm going to end on and tell you. The tale of the starfish. It all started when a young girl was walking along a beach, and thousands of starfish had washed up during a terrible storm. When she came to each starfish, she would pick it up and throw it back into the ocean. People watched her with amusement. She had been doing this for some time. When a man approached her and said, "Little girl, why are you doing this? Look at this beach. You can't save all of these starfish. You can't begin to make a difference." The girl seemed crushed, deflated. But after a few minutes, she bent down, picked up another starfish, and hurled it as fast as she could into the sea. She looked at the man and replied, "Well, I made a difference for that one." The old man looked at the girl inquisitively and thought about what she had done and said. Inspired, he joined the little girl in throwing the starfish back into the ocean, and before long, all the others on the beach joined, and the starfish were saved.
Beautiful. So I listened to what Lawrence said, and this is called Every Word. I remember when I got here, remember my first day. Didn't know what to do, expect or say. Then I saw their faces, how I could help them smile. I'd cover all the bases and go the extra mile. I see a bit of them in me, it's like looking in a mirror. Some ways I was lost and found, made my purpose clearer. I got so much more than I could ever give. My heart is so full, loving this life I live. The stories they tell me just want to be heard. So I listen, I listen, I listen to every word. I look in their eyes and I can feel their hearts. We're all part of each other, sharing different parts, wanting to give back to those who really need it. Learning every day, giving my time would feed it. Stories they tell me just want to be heard. So I listen, I listen, I listen to every word. I listen, I listen to every word. I remember when I got here, remember my first day. Thank you. Thanks so much. It's a great man right here. Very good. Thank you.
All right, so
See what I mean? That's what I wanted to do. Thanks, Lawrence.
we knew that Jeff Brisbin is one of Saratoga's great performers, but I think Lawrence, man, you've got a career. Uh-oh, how do I pry him away from Lois Celeste? Well done. That was just beautiful, and what a great organization. Our next organization is Gateway House of Peace, and I have Nancy here to tell us a little bit about the work that Gateway House of Peace does.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm going to read. I don't know how the other two did it. I have to stay focused. For those of you who have experienced caring for a loved one who is dying or know someone who has, you know it can be daunting and overwhelming, particularly in the final months and days. Gateway House of Peace is a not-for-profit, round-the-clock care comfort home for people in their final days who have no other or few other options for care. What does that mean? We're a home just like yours, but we have trained staff providing skilled care 24 hours a day. We're not hospice, but partner with them just as you would. We don't charge our residents or their family. They will never get a bill from Gateway House. We're not funded by the government, and we're not eligible for insurance reimbursement, which means we exist for our community, by our community. It is through donations and fundraisers that Gateway House provides a safe, peaceful place for people to die with dignity, and for their family and friends to just share that time, free of the burden of care and financial distress. Our storyteller will ever so eloquently share this with you. Our home is often referred to as heaven, and our caregivers as angels.
Hi, I'm Susan, and I remember the evening so clearly. The evening I reached my breaking point. At the time, we couldn't foresee the future. We didn't know my mother had only 4 days left to live. It was like running a race, and we didn't know where the finish line was. So we didn't know how to pace ourselves, how much time to take off of work. There were full-time jobs, family estrangements, and in the midst of our busy lives, the person we were all closest to was dying. It was the Thursday evening before Memorial Day. My mom, Nancy, had been admitted into hospice care with end-stage pancreatic cancer Mother's Day weekend and was in a hospital bed in the family room. My dad was her primary caregiver for hospice purposes, but the truth was he couldn't attend to her needs on his own, and he didn't want to admit it. My 2 siblings and I made a schedule to ensure one of us was at the house as often as possible to support our parents. My shift would begin later the next day, and that night I realized it was beyond what I could handle. My mother's physical condition had deteriorated throughout the week. Each day, her windows of lucidity closed more. Within a day or two, she became fully bedridden, and it was exceptionally difficult to understand what she was trying to say. One evening, I arrived at their house, and my mom was calling to my dad because she needed something. Her voice was weak, and he couldn't hear her because his hearing wasn't great. The television was quite loud, and he probably had nodded off again. So as much as my mom had wanted to die at home, it wasn't the safest environment for her. There were lots of stairs in their split-level home, and at times I found her on them alone, which wasn't supposed to happen. Also, her medication schedule was confusing. We did our best to care for her at home and made frequent, frantic calls to hospice to send a nurse out to help with the basics, like repositioning her without causing her undue pain. A hospice nurse would come over and make it look so easy. We felt like incompetent caregivers and nuisances. We were really struggling. See, my mom was the only extrovert in the family. She was the hub of the communication wheel. She was the one everyone went to, and then she'd relay the news to others. With her down, we introverts had to communicate directly for the first time ever. It was awkward and unskillful. Like most families, there were issues, unresolved conflicts, shame. I drove home from my parents' house that Thursday evening feeling desperate for a solution, but there was nothing on my radar. Well, the next morning, I prayed for a solution and then got busy researching. Private in-home care was very expensive, especially because we didn't know how long we'd need it. The hospice social worker called to tell me Gateway House of Peace had a bed available and that my mom could be transferred there the next morning. It wasn't the first time Gateway had been presented as an option. However, my dad wanted to honor my mom's wishes to die at home, and my mom wasn't lucid enough to weigh in. My dad was also largely in denial of the reality that his beloved wife of 50 years was really dying and didn't want to talk with the hospice social worker, which is why I was on the phone with her. Gateway sounded like a great solution to me. The challenge was to convince my dad. It's clear now that he had no control over keeping my mom alive, and the one thing he had control of was honoring her wishes. But we needed help. Somehow, I convinced him to let Sandy from Gateway come over for an informational visit, which took place immediately and was followed immediately by a trip to Gateway to see for ourselves. When we arrived, Patty gave us a tour. Her friendly personality and sparkling eyes reminded my dad very much of my mom and put him at ease. Meeting Patty and the other staff and volunteers, we knew in our hearts Gateway was the right place for my mom, where she would receive the compassionate, round-the-clock care she needed and deserved. At that point, my dad's only hesitation was disbelief that Gateway was free. He thought it was too good to be true and wondered what the catch was. But there was no catch. So the next morning, my mom was transferred to Gateway. What a blessing to have the burden of her physical care lifted from us, leaving us with more energy to give her love and comfort and to be her family rather than her bumbling nurses. And that's when some joy began to filter in, and some small miracles as well. For instance, my mom had a dear friend in her 20s who was one of her bridesmaids. They hadn't been in touch in decades, but all of a sudden, without knowing my mom was sick, this woman searched for her online and found me the same day I was praying for a miracle. The day after my mom was admitted to Gateway, this woman and her husband drove from New Jersey to be with us. And although my mom was cocooning deeply and was virtually unresponsive, we gathered around her bed and listened to her friend share memories of their times together so many years ago. My husband is a musician, and I'd asked him to play guitar and sing for my mom as she had done for hospital patients as a volunteer before her health declined. So when the time was right, he took out his guitar. My mom was a huge John Denver fan, and we sang some of his songs like she used to. We filled that room with joy and music. It was a celebration. My mom became alert enough to indicate she could hear us. It felt as if she were on a raft rather than a hospital bed, and we were on the shore giving her a joyous send-off. The Gateway staff gave us all the space and privacy we needed, for which I'm grateful. Now, there's 2 patient rooms at Gateway. My mom was in the blue room, which was perfect because blue is her favorite color and because it offered a view of the Saratoga County Airport runway. Earlier in life, my mom was a stewardess. And that evening, I had a vision of her as her younger flight attendant self awaiting takeoff. Well, we had one more day with my mom before she passed. I witnessed the tenderness with which she was touched, spoken to, and cared for. It blew me away. I think it was Sandy who explained that to her, my mom was her own mom. The angels at Gateway continue to express love for their own dear ones through loving the dying people in their care as if they were their own family. They're also there for the whole family, a comforting, supportive presence in the living room. When the staff and volunteers were made aware of a tender situation some family members were ashamed of, they didn't bat an eyelash. There was just compassion. On my mom's last evening, riffs were put on hold, and everyone gathered around her bed. The sunset sky, visible through her windows, was lovely. The atmosphere felt calm and sacred. We played her favorite music CDs softly all evening, and in the middle of leaving on a jet plane, a small jet actually took off, but she kept breathing. That night, some of us stayed overnight. My dad went home, and before leaving, he gave my mom a kiss and told her to hang in there, and he'd be back in the morning. In that moment, I understood what she was waiting for. I took my dad aside and told him he needed to give her permission to die. Tell her it's okay to let go. So he did. My 2 teenagers camped out in one of the upstairs bedrooms, watching movies together. I retreated to the other when I needed some rest, and one of my siblings stayed in the comfortable recliner next to our mom's bed. We were able to be under the same roof in what felt like our own space, titrating our attention. A little after 2 a.m., my son felt compelled to go downstairs to say goodbye to Grandma. This awakened my sibling in the recliner, who had some meaningful moments with her before her eyes, which had been closed all day, opened wide and bright for several seconds. She looked toward the door and then slipped away with the most transcendent, peaceful look on her face, which was both a comfort and a blessing to my dad when he returned in the morning. The volunteers and staff at Gateway shared such intimate, personal moments and truly became family. And you might expect the story to end there. However, there's more. My dad began stopping by Gateway shortly after my mom died. In the beginning, it was to drop off donation checks, but soon it was to visit his new friends. He developed a deep friendship with Patty and Joni, the founder of Gateway. My dad passed away less than a year and a half after my mom, but the Gateway family helped to fill a deep hole in his life. I find it almost impossible to believe that my mom never got to know them because she would have loved them. And she would have been immensely grateful for the care and friendship they gave us. And as for those little miracles, blessings, synchronicities, or whatever you want to call them, perhaps they are more abundant than we realize, and we tend not to notice them because we're preoccupied in our thoughts and with our busy lives. Gateway took so much of the weight off of us so we could be more present and aware of the magic moments happening amidst the suffering. It's been more than 8 years, but when I think back to that time and what it was like and what it felt like when my mom finally was admitted to Gateway, my whole body breathes a sigh of relief.
Isn't it funny how the years have a way of taking us further apart? Weren't we lucky to have you right here, binding us close in your heart? How could we know how you held us together until you started to fade? What can we do to make it forever? How do we know where to start? Isn't it something that angels are real and waiting to give us their hands? Weren't we needing to hear someone say how much that they understand? How could we know that a place of peace was waiting to shoulder our care? When we were drowning in an ocean of pain, we stepped into light and found land, and it felt like family. It's all right now, it felt like family. It's real somehow, it felt like family. Oh, oh, oh. Isn't it lovely to be here this this way, oh, sharing the times of your life. Weren't you happy to see an old friend sitting right here by your side? How could we know as that jet soared away, it carried your soul to the sky? I wish I could make this day last forever and always live in this life, 'cause it felt like family. It's all alive now. It felt like family. It's real somehow. It felt like family. Oh, it felt like family. Oh, it felt like family. It felt like family.
Good work, Gateway House of Peace. Thank you, Susan, for being willing to share your story. And that is Mel Guarino right there, who's our songwriter, and her husband, Mark, was accompanying her. You might have heard of Mel's band, the Bluebillies, a great country band in this area. So our final two stories have a video component to them, and it's going to take us just a moment to redo the stage so that we could do that. So we're going to bring up the lights, give you guys a little bit of a break and a leg stretch, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Left Louisiana on the red line. Ooh.
Thanks for watching this live performance from Caffe Lena. You're supporting independent music and the mission of our historic nonprofit venue. You can find out more information about the legacy of Caffe Lena and our diverse programming at caffelena.org. Each ticket buyer will receive an email with access to this show for 1 week, and subscribers can find the archive in the recent live streams playlist on Caffe Lena TV. These live streams are made possible by our community of subscribers. Special thanks to our Virtuoso level subscribers and lifetime Caffe Lena members. Please consider becoming a subscriber to Caffe Lena TV. For $10 per month, you will have unlimited access to over 20 live streams each month, as well as on-demand access for 1 week after each live broadcast in the recent live streams playlist. Join us in building a sustainable platform for independent music. Caffe Lena TV is now available to subscribers on iOS and Android mobile apps, as well as on Roku smart TV devices. Just search Caffe Lena TV in the store and log in. You can leave an additional donation to support the artists on stage tonight by clicking the currency symbol below the chat and following the instructions to use the Caffe Lena tip jar. The Caffe Lena School of Music offers group music lessons in person and online. Each archived class is available for purchase, and subscribers to Caffe Lena TV can access the first week of select classes for free. Find out more about our music school and our amazing instructors at caffelena.org/school, and find the available classes on Caffe Lena TV in the Caffe Lena School of Music section. The Caffe Lena online store is now open. Go to caffelena.org and click Shop to find all the current Caffe Lena merchandise, including shirts, hats, mugs, posters, and more. Come visit us on Phyla Street in Saratoga Springs, New York. We've got something going on every night of the week. We hope you're enjoying the show. Here are a few more of our upcoming concerts we think you might enjoy. Check out the full schedule in the upcoming live streams section of Caffe Lena TV and join us for more live music.
Thank you.
Sarah will let us know. Joe, do you need me to do anything or just clear the stage?
I think you just leave it. Let me make sure I get the computer out of your way.
Okay.
I think when the show's over, you should wrap up all the tables and shit.
Absolutely.
It's the only thing that comes to my mind.
And Tina just asked if we could give her a signal, okay? There she is. You're gonna rock it.
Okay, we're about ready to get started again. And again, thank you to our storytellers and musicians for putting so much work into really showing what this community is all about. So thank you to them, and thank you all for taking an interest in coming out to be part of it. Caffe Lena is also a nonprofit organization, and we have our mission statement is that we provide music, connection, and learning from a legendary room. And this is the longest running acoustic music venue in the country, the longest running one under 300 seats. and it really holds a legendary place in American music history. And I know that some of you are here for the first time. You may not be aware that we offer music lessons for children and group music lessons for adults. And the way that we met all of these nonprofit organizations is through work that we do, having our musicians go out to play at the soup kitchen, at the shelters, at nursing homes frequently, and also do kind of master classes for talented music students in the local high schools. So we believe, and I think that you're probably feeling it right now, that music is just a wonderful way to connect people. So thank you for believing in that and taking a chance on this event, and we hope that you'll come back again soon. So our next organization that we're featuring out of Glens Falls is Steps for Stroke, and Casey is going to tell you a little bit about this organization.
Good evening. My name is Casey Clark. I'm a physical therapist from Glens Falls Hospital, who's also the president of Steps for Stroke. I've been involved with our local stroke support group for about 20 years now. And I remember when I started working with this group, one of the first things that caught my attention was the amount of young people that attended the meetings. There were many people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s participating on a regular basis, and this remains the case to this very day. Unfortunately, people may assume that strokes typically occur to people when they're older, but this just isn't true. And in many cases, a stroke leaves a spouse unable to work, or a parent, as you will hear about tonight, unable to care for a child. It was about 10 years ago when a number of enthusiastic and generous members of our support group decided to start a nonprofit organization called Steps for Stroke. Their mission was to improve the lives of local stroke survivors and their caregivers by providing education, support, and financial assistance while promoting stroke awareness in our community. It's been an honor working with this group of survivors who truly want to pay it forward. As a clinician, I've been able to see firsthand how they have positively impacted the lives of many local families. Sometimes it's just a phone call to check in and let them know that someone cares. There are other instances when someone may need guidance in getting connected with a community support service. And there are other times when a family needs financial assistance for co-pays, transportation, medical bills, or therapy equipment. Regardless of the needs, Steps for Stroke wants survivors to know that they are not alone. This evening you are going to hear about Tina's amazing journey recovering from a stroke. Tina has been an integral member of our group for about 10 years now. In fact, I'm not sure she's ever missed a meeting in that entire time, which goes to show the dedication and commitment she has not only to helping herself and her family, but for others as well. We are so proud of you.
When I was 35, I was married, had been working with kids with special needs. Had 2 boys of my own, Brian 16, Cooper almost 2. And I was pregnant with my 3rd boy. On May 3rd, 2010, 5 weeks early, he decided to enter the world. Now the plan was to have an epidural, kind of make an easy delivery. Being my 3rd, thinking I could just sneeze, it would pop out. But no, after 12 hours of hard labor, no one was here. A few hours later, they brought him in for his first feeding. I was breastfeeding, went to switch sides, and realized I couldn't move my right arm. I called the nurse, and I said, could it be because I still have an IV in? She said, no, just go back to sleep. So I did. A little time goes by, now my right leg won't work. At this point, I can't remember anything. I know I had to go for a CAT scan. The next morning, my mom had called to see how the night was. I was crying, so I had the nurse talk. I'm in and out. I can hear voices. And before I knew it, I was on my way to Albany Med by helicopter. I was having a stroke, but I didn't know that. At Albany Med, they had to take part of my skull off due to swelling. I've been told that I was in there for about 2 weeks. They had given me a 5% of survival. I survived the surgery. Unfortunately, I lost use of my right side. Then was out to Sunnyview for rehab. I don't remember much of that next few weeks. There was therapy, physical, occupational, speech. Every day, I was working toward a new goal. I had to learn how to do everything again. Walking, talking, eating, everything. I had to have a feeding tube. My memory was sparse. I remember I was starting to eat a little bit, but something wasn't right. I was in a lot of pain, but I could not express myself. Turns out I had more clots throughout my body. I was put in the ICU in Ellis Hospital. I started to remember more. My first few days back at Sunnyview, I was not even sure if the baby had made it. Because Noah was 5 weeks early, they kept him in the NICU at Glens Falls Hospital. Once I was settled in at Sunnyview, he was discharged and brought down to see me. During the many visits during my 6-week stay at rehab, Noah was brought down to visit me so we could have our bond together. After many more therapy, I was able to leave Sunnyview and go to my parents' house. It was towards the end of June when my oldest and my dad were working throughout the night to make a room that was safe for me to go to. I would stay with my parents and Nolan, the baby, but my parents were really the caregivers for Nolan. Because I had half my skull still sitting in the fridge in Albany, and my dad liked to joke that was sitting next to a 6-pack of beer. I had to wear a helmet throughout the day to protect the brain. I did have surgery in August to have the plate put back in. I was going to outpatient therapy several days a week. At one point, the OT turned to me and said, "What do you want to work on?" "I want to learn how to change a diaper." I learned. I also learned the best way to pick him up. To pick up Noah was to carry him around like a baby, or a cat carrying the babies. He used the good side of my arm. He was in overalls on a cradle with my weak side. After 6 months, I returned to my own house with my boys and my husband. I wanted to be home, in my home for Christmas. They say that trauma can make or break a marriage. Well, it broke. It was too much for him. Even though it did not work out for us, he always loved his boys. Sadly, Dan just passed away recently, but you always bear part of our hearts. The divorce made me stronger. I was more determined. I needed to fight to get better so I could be there for my boys. I was slowly getting to what I call my new normal. I will never get back to what I was. My type of stroke was caused by clotting disorder. Because of this, I had to go get blood work done very often at the hospital. I went to the hospital and I saw a sign that said about stroke support group. I mentioned it to my mom and we should check it out. I didn't know what to expect because when you think of a stroke, you typically think of older people. I'm 35 years old. I shouldn't have a stroke. The first meeting, I was very scared. Didn't know what to expect. I took it all in. We came back the next month, and next month, and next month, and slowly began to tell my story. Steps for Stroke has helped me in so many ways that I never thought it would. I feel safe there. People understand what I'm going through because they've gone through it. During my recovery, Steps to Stroke has been so greatly helpful, not just to be able to talk to someone who understands, but they can help you in so many ways. They got me a special tablet so I can work at home to gain more ability to my right hand. And because I saw a Puma group that went back to driving, I thought, maybe I can do that. And I did. When I started driving again, because I had to have a special equipment, Steps for Stroke, they reimbursed me for that expense. That was a huge help to get me some of my freedom back. Today, I'm able to drive my boys to sporting events, meetings, family gatherings. I even drive myself to work daily as I work part-time in a school cafeteria. I'm an independent, now my own place. I have my own car. I come and go where I want. I still face many challenges. Slicing food, carrying items, opening jars, trying my own shoes, and most frustrating, trying to put my hair in a ponytail. I also have a new partner in my life, Matt, who steps in and helps me more ways than he knows. He encouraged me and taught me how to drive again, and I haven't stopped. When we go out to parks or on vacation, I do have to use an electric scooter because I still find it tiring to walk long distance. With the support of my family, we've traveled to Disney, Universal, Disney Park, Dallas, Texas, and that's not to even mention the local venues. Like I said before, I will never be the same as I was in the past. This is my new normal, but I'm living my best life to the fullest and making the best of it.
It's a new normal every single day. Rules we made for Tuesday don't apply today. It's the new normal. Every time you turn around, 1 minute you're standing up, the next you're lying on the ground. Where did it go? The life that I once knew. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I'm just blue. Where did it go? The life that I once led. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I just see red. It's a new normal every single day. Rules we made for Wednesday don't apply today. It's a new normal. Every time you turn around, 1 minute you're standing up, the next you're lying on the ground. Where did it go? Best foot forward, 2 steps back. In the right direction, on the wrong track. Where did it go? My plan for tomorrow. Say hello to hope, goodbye to sorrow. It's a new normal every single day. Rules we made for Thursday don't apply today. It's a new normal. Every time you turn around, 1 minute you're standing up, the next you're lying on the ground. I just wish I could do one thing, without counting the ways to fail. I wish I could do one thing, tie my goddamn ponytail. It's a new normal every single day. Rules we made for Friday don't apply today. It's a new normal every time you turn around. 1 minute you're standing up, the next you're lying on the ground. It's a new normal. It's a new normal. It's a new normal. Tina Coates.
Okay, we're going to need to move a few mics for our next story, so hang on just a minute. So in other words, the video part is the story, and then that ends, and then yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna have you. Okay, all right, and I'll just do a check out the audience for you. Yeah, I think probably stand over here. That's good. Yep. Okay. Okay, everybody. Tina, thank you so much. And Michael Eck. Yeah. Michael Eck was our songwriter. And Michael, is it okay if I say why you picked this story? All right. Michael had a stroke about a year and a half ago. And so when he found out that Tina was going to be one of our storytellers, he leapt at the opportunity to work with her. And I think it's been a really fruitful working relationship. All right. So our next organization is based here, not only based here in Saratoga, but based here in this building. Right underneath us is Cole's Woodwinds, and this is Bill Cole right here. And he started, yeah. He started a really amazing project a few years ago. He's going to tell us about it. And our storyteller couldn't be here tonight, but he submitted a video. All right, so Bill, you go ahead.
Thank you, Sarah. And congratulations to all the storytellers and all the musicians. It's also inspiring. I didn't have a storytelling coach, so I apologize in advance. Here's a glimpse on how Horns for Haiti started. In 2016, I traveled to Las Cahopas, Haiti, to teach music instrument repair at the Holy Spirit Church and School, located in the mountains of central Haiti. There, I teamed up with their pastor, Father Jean Daravel, the music director, Marc Andre, and a translator, Rodney Jante. Together, we would team together to teach 6 young men. My intentions were to go once, fix a few horns, show the teacher how to repair instruments, go home, tell some stories, and call it a day. Well, the workshops there were magnificent. The young men were engaging, they were bright, they were talented. They were picking up repair techniques faster than I've ever taught anybody, and this is through a translator now. This is with most days without electricity. My sax light laid unused because we couldn't plug it in any place. The power was always down. So with using Haitian ingenuity, we would take the small flashlights out of my luggage that my wife, Mary Alice, would shove in at the last minute. She'd go, "You're gonna need these." Like, "I won't need them. You're gonna need them." And we did. We tied strings on them, put them down the saxophone so we could see where the pads were leaking. And when I got into the country, I had all these micro torches. All I had to do was find butane. Well, there's no cigar shops in Haiti, so I couldn't find butane anywhere. So we used Bic lighters to seat the pads. So any obstacle we seemed to come across, we just went around it. And again, that's the Haitian way. At the end of the workshops, the boys were very grateful, and they were telling me through the translator how much they were appreciative. I kind of played it down, and I didn't mean to, but I just said, "It was my pleasure." And it was. I felt honored, and I felt privileged to be there. But the translator, Rodney, looked into my eyes. He says, "You don't understand. They're honored, and someday they, too, will teach their sons how to repair instruments." They love the fact that I taught my son how to repair, and that's the Haitian way. Since then, I would return several times, but I'll have to tell you, on the trip, the flight back to New York, I was contemplating my experience, my life-changing experience, really, and I was thinking of different ways. How can I continue this? How can I do this? And I was coming up with all these ideas, and that's where I came up with the name Horns for Haiti. And like I said, I would return several times. Every time, Father Jean and his wife, Finade, would welcome me into their home, treat me like an honored guest. And I would teach the same 6 young men, and that would expand to other young men, and finally women that would come in interested in learning how to repair. And that was very nice. On one very special trip, my son Billy accompanied me, and just took over. And the Haitian boys and girls would just love Billy. Today they still call him Professor Billy. In spite of all the unrest in Haiti, and you see it on TV, the political unrest and the civil unrest of the pandemic, in light of all that, these two young men that were originally in that first workshop started their own business, and they would call it Shop Billy of Haiti, translated Shop Billy of Haiti, instrument repair. At first, I thought they named it after me, but I was wrong. And you'll see later on why. So it's been a joy to see them be a success and help others. Another young man I have to mention, this doesn't have anything to do with tonight, but Mayan Pierre, another young man in that, he was 16 years old when I first met him. Today he's an advisor for Horns for Haiti and a liaison, and through him we just started another business with the women in the parish of Holy Spirit. They make cleaning swabs for woodwind instruments, and he organized it. He basically manages the business, and I'm quite proud of my end. So that's basically in a nutshell. I mean, I could talk for hours on this. I'm very proud of the relationships I've made, and the friends I've made, and most importantly, the mutual respect that we have for each other. It's a gift that we give to each other, mutual respect, and that's something that we all should do, and what the world needs more of. So, sit back and enjoy Sorrell's message that he has pre-recorded for you tonight, and then to top it all off, Hold On Honeys will bring it on home with their insightful lyrics and their beautiful harmonies. Thank you for coming tonight, and as they say in Haiti, bon débeniou, God bless you.
Moi, c'est Bernier Sorel, moi j'ai 35 années. Passion, c'est jouer musique et enseigner musique. Moi, j'ai commencé à apprendre à jouer musique dans l'année 2002 dans un groupe qui relait son Night. Après ça, dans l'année 2016, moi j'ai allé dans l'église Saint-Esprit, qui c'est l'église épiscopale, et moi j'ai commencé à enseigner à jouer musique. De là étant, nous avons eu l'opportunité pour nous rencontrer le professeur Bill Paul, qui est venu enseigner nous ou bien montrer nous comment pour nous ranger instruments. Moi, j'ai eu la chance pour me participer chaque année dans toute formation, il était toujours venu organiser. Après ça, moi, j'ai venu tomber d'amour ranger instruments. Moi-même, examen à bout. Nous avons demandé au professeur Bill s'il a aidé nous à joindre des outils pour nous ranger instruments. Il répond nous positivement à tout cœur sans lui pas prendre temps. Après ça, à travers On for Haiti, il a envoyé le premier boîte d'outils pour nous pour être capable, avec quelques instruments, il a besoin de réparation. Après ça, moi-même, examen moi à goutte, nous créons ou bien nous ouvrir propre business que nous relais Billy Shop pour nous rendre honneur à examen Billy qui toujours accompagné par Bali qui c'est professeur Bill, mais la vine après nous ranger instruments. Nous avons commencé le travail officiellement le 21 avril 2021, depuis date ça arrive jeudi. Nous rangeons 25 trompettes, 23 saxophones, 2 clarinettes, 1 baryton, 3 hélicons, 6 trombones, 2 saxophones ténors et puis un saxophone soprano. Avec ce support que nous recevons, qui sortit dans On for Haiti, et avec l'argent que nous rangeons instruments, nous créons une école musique pour enseigner si nous à jeunes jouer et puis ranger instruments. Nous prenons l'initiative que nous prenons à aider nous pour nous aider à jeunes loin des situations de délinquance à grandir dans le pays nous Haïti. Dans nos amis, collaborateurs à Gout et dans nos communautés, nous disons grand merci à tout supporter nous, spécialement On for Haiti, Caffe Lena, professeur Noubil, à tout petit garçon Billy, et à chaque autre grand supporter qui contribue dans le projet Billy Shop et pour faire différence dans le pays de Haïti. Merci.
Thanks.
Way up high on my mountain, I saw a man with a shiny horn. He held it close with love and joy. He said, "Look at what's been newly born." He said, "Rhythm rests in our marrow. We've got a box of tools and parts. We've got things that need fixing. Put them together like bones and hearts. Teach us about the way things break and how things go back together again." He said he taught me, now I teach you. Then you teach them. And if you need a friend, come to the Billy Shop. If you need a friend, come to the Billy Shop. For you I'd fix 10 million things. This could be a place to start, to give you music, give you joy, give you new life, give you heart. Broken things can be discarded, now we give them life again. We have mountains to stand up on, 6 trombones, that's almost 10. Teach us about the way things break, and how things go back together again. He said he taught me, now I teach you. Then you teach them. And if you need a friend, come to the Billy Shop. If you need a friend, come to the Billy Shop. Rhythm rests in our marrow. Rhythm rests. Rhythm rests in our marrow. We've got a box of tools and parts. We've got things. We've got things that need fixing. Put them together like bones and hearts. 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 Rhythm rests in our marrow. Rhythm rests. Rhythm rests in our marrow. We've got a box of tools and parts. We've got things. We've got things that need fixing. Put them together like bones and hearts. 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 Teach us about the way things break and how things go back together again. He said he taught me, now I teach you, then you teach them. And if you need a friend, come to the Billy Shop. And if you need a friend, come to the Billy Shop.
All right, thank you to our storytellers, our 5 nonprofits from this year, our musicians, and TrueSongs will be back next year. If you have a suggestion of an organization that you think should be featured, let us know, and thank you so much for coming out and supporting this event.